Hey folks, good evening. Welcome to another money space with me, Kalu Aja. Of course, on our space, we're talking money, the economy, and finance, right? That's what we do here every Sunday, 7 p.m. West African time. This week, we're talking the NNPC Limited, probably the most important company in the history of Nigeria, still is. I don't see how that will change because Nigeria is a mono exporter of crude oil, and about 81% of our foreign reserves do come from crude oil and gas. So, of course, the NNPC is going to be a very, very important factor in how Nigeria earns money and, of course, how Nigeria, of course, spends money. So, anything that happens to crude oil prices in Nigeria has a direct effect on the NNPC and clearly has a direct effect on Nigeria. So when the NNPC talks, we have to listen. And the NNPC results for 2024 have just been out. That's the latest results that are out. So I want to take a deeper look at those results and see what they say about not the NNPC particularly, but about Nigeria. That's what we really want to see. Like, what do those reports, if we look under the hood, what tidbits, what insights can we get from those reports? That's really what we want to do today. So let me just start off by saying, we're not here to have to make that clarification. We're not here to really beat up on the NNPC. If anything, I would say that the new management team that's taking charge of NNPC has done a great job in just sort of streamlining. You know, this is a company that has gone through, should we say, from being a publicly owned corporation, it's still a publicly owned private limited company, but it's in the process of going somewhere, right? So they've done a big work in just converting that company from a solely government owned ATM machine to more of a business driven institution. So just want to commend them for the work they've done so far, but still, the NNPC gives us a lot to consider. Like I said, the more you see the NNPC results, the more you sort of have a sense of where Nigeria is going to, and that's what we want to use. We want to use the NNPC results, if it can be, as a proxy to where the Nigerian economy is. So again, if you're on YouTube, I've shared the link to YouTube. You can follow our visuals. We like to do visuals here on our spaces so that way you can also follow along. We're going to be sharing these visuals, and then we'll also have the YouTube guys that's going to see the visuals go on. So if you can, try to hop into the visuals because that would also just be fantastic, right? Okay, so our topic today is the NNPC Limited. How pure are the earnings? That's the question we're asking. Underneath, we have the subsidy economies and other issues. And again, guys, you can also request to speak if you see a slide that grabs your attention or you want us to clarify something. Request to speak and we'll add you. Let's go first of all and look at the top line numbers for the NNPC. Should the NNPC's 2024 performance. If you look at that result, it looks very good. It is very good. Not looks, it is very good. Revenues and profits are up. Revenues and profits are up. So the NNPC, if we look at the exact numbers, just plug it up here. You would see that revenue is about 41 trillion, right? 41 trillion. That's a massive number right there. It's up, and let me see. Let me get that figure for you. Yeah, about 41 trillion in revenues. It's up 88%. So revenues have gone up 88% from when NNPC last posted. That's a material number. That's a massive number, right? A 45 trillion. I mean, what's Nigeria's budget, right? Profit after tax, about 5.4 trillion. Again, it's up 64%. So if you're growing income in Nigeria, for any government agency, you should be commended. Like I said, kudos to the NNPC management for growing revenues and PAT by 88 and 64%. Look at total asset size. It's also up 162 trillion. Massive numbers, up by 57% on that. Equity, what the company now owns, right? If you take away their assets, liabilities, nearly 40 trillion. So strong top line growth for the NNPC, strong profit growth for the NNPC, and a significant expansion on the balance sheet. So those numbers alone look very, very good. And again, like we said, great job to the team. But we want to do, because we want to get, these spaces are more to give you information, so that when you are talking with facts, with figures, with numbers, you are asking intelligent questions. That's why we do these spaces. And believe me, what we do here is recognize people. I get tons of feedback from the government, from folks in everywhere that listen to what we do. So take this is information where we try to have these spaces as balanced as possible. We're not attacking, we are presenting data so that way we can be better citizens. Let's take a look at the first option, the first look under the hood. I looked at the NNPC results, and it's a lot of debt, lots of borrowing, lots of leverage. Nothing wrong with that. The oil sector as a whole has a lot of debt, borrowing, and leverage as well. So the NNPC is not unique in that instance. But if you look at the NNPC's debt ratios, about 3.17x, that's the debt to equity ratio. So we are funding the NNPC 3 times with debt than equity. Liabilities 123 trillion, right? 123 trillion in terms of liabilities, right? Equity was already set up before, about 40 trillion. Finance cost, again, then looking at the numbers doesn't give you a story. You have to look at the trend line. And the trend line is that liabilities, or the finance cost in specifically, has gone up nearly 300% year on year. So the NNPC is making a lot of revenues. It's making a lot of net profits, but it's also borrowing a lot. So of course, the first question that will come to your mind as a non-accounting person to say, how can the same company make a lot of profit, then also borrow a lot of money, right? And you're going to see the answer as we go into the slide. So, the company makes a lot of profit, but it's also borrowing a lot. What's up with that? That's really what we want to showcase. Like I said, the NNPC is a mirror on the Nigerian economy. So the more you see the NNPC, you see the more it mirrors what is going on in Nigeria, and that sort of starts to explain certain things to you. So we go ahead, we'll keep on going on our journey. We've now seen that the NNPC has done a lot in terms of its revenues, but that it's borrowing a lot, right? So let's go ahead. Let's go on. You guys get where I'm going to. Now, the key thing that the NNPC has done, which is now going to start to affect Nigeria, right, is that the NNPC, keep in mind, the NNPC is the #1 funder of Nigeria, the Nigerian Federation. When we sell crude oil and gas goes to our JP Morgan account, which is owned by the NNPC and the Central Bank of Nigeria. So whatever the NNPC makes has a key effect on the economy of Nigeria, growth of Nigeria, and also the investment dollar flow coming back to Nigeria. But the NNPC has, over the years, done what we call crude-backed financing. So what they've done is that they've taken crude oil, they've borrowed about 8 trillion. If you add it all up together, there are about 3 or 4 of these. They've borrowed, give or take, about 8 trillion. If you convert that to barrels, about 213,000 barrels committed. So they are borrowing cash today, but they're going to pay back with barrels of crude oil going into the future. So what is the implication? If oil prices drop, this favors Nigeria, because like I said, NNPC has borrowed, but is paying back with oil. So we've gotten the cash today, but we're going to pay back tomorrow with cheaper oil in a way. But if oil prices go up, then Nigeria is going to have to use this expensive oil that has gone up. We have to then not use the full revenues. We'll have to first of all pay back the obligation before we then get access to those revenues. The point I make is that we've borrowed and we're going to pay back with produce over time. And this means for Nigeria, this means a fall in the total revenues that Nigeria is going to get. That's basically what it means. It's a fall in total revenues, because instead of when the Iran war has taken revenues to go up, instead of Nigeria to get full advantage of those revenues, we are paying back loans that we have taken because we have tied those loans to crude oil export. So that's the first thing that comes to mind, and it starts to give you a picture of how important the NNPC is to Nigeria. We're not taking full advantage of this rise in crude oil production because we have borrowed and we have used the crude oil as a collateral. That's essentially what it is. It's a collateral to pay back those debts. So it becomes more important for Nigeria that we have to pay down those debts, so that because oil prices are not going to be high forever. If we don't pay down those debts and we keep on having these obligations on our books, what will happen is that when oil prices go down, we would have lost the ability or the advantage to have used higher oil prices to pay off those obligations, right? Because remember, it's into the future. We have borrowed money and we have to pay these loans back with crude oil. So that tells you one idea. But this is loans that have happened in the past. Like I said, 8 trillion. Look at NNPC liabilities like this. The more NNPCs owing, the less money is going to come to FARC. So if NNPC makes money, FARC makes money. If NNPC does not make money, FARC does not make money. So I hear you already saying, I see your tweet, you're already sending me a tweet to say, but Kalu, NNPC is making trillions in revenue. So what's the problem? If they are borrowing, they have a total revenue of 45 trillion, total assets of 162 trillion. So what is the problem? Even if they are borrowing, they are making revenues nearly equal to the total budget size of the entire federal government. So what really is the issue? What are you wasting our time on Sunday to tell us about? We're going to get there. Let's talk about number one thing that we all know that happened in 2023, which was the famous subsidy is gone. Now, we're not arguing if subsidy has gone or not. The reason why this is going to be important will show up in our next slide. I want to connect subsidy to the balance sheet of the NNPC and then to the balance sheet of Nigeria. So let's start from 2023, where the president announced that subsidy was gone. What the president did, he said subsidy is gone, and we saw oil prices, gas prices go up in Nigeria, right? So subsidy left. But in that same 2023, we still paid subsidy of about 4.8 trillion. The name changed. So instead of calling it subsidy, we call it under recovery, and it's under the energy and security expense in the government, right? In 2024, we also paid PMS subsidies about 7.1 trillion. Again, not my numbers. These numbers are from the NNPC's own annual report. So we're quoting the NNPC annual report, right? 7.1 trillion. Again, it's called under recovery, under the energy security expense. But look at the key thing here, right? These payments are paid by who? They are paid by the NNPC, not the federal government. But then the NNPC then terms it as a loan owed by the federation, not federal government, federation to the NNPC. Let me break that down in English for you. The NNPC, when Nigeria has a law that says that that fuel price is regulated. So the price of PMS that you buy in Nigeria is regulated. They can't sell above a certain price. So if NNPC imports PMS and that PMS comes to Nigeria at 100 naira, and the regulation is that you can only sell at 80 naira, that extra 20 naira, NNPC will take it as subsidy on its books. So that subsidy becomes a debt owned by who? By the federation, not the federal. Federation means federal, state, and local. Why is it a debt? Because NNPC is a limited liability company. It has to sell for profit or for loss, right? So it has imported oil, it has imported PMS, and it wants to sell PMS at 100 naira to cover its cost. But the government says, no, you can't sell at 100 because the price by law is 80. That extra 20 is now going to be paid by the federation. That extra 20 goes to NNPC's balance sheet as a loan or a liability that the federal government has got to pay it. So it's a recoverable loan. It's like a liability owned by the federation due to the NNPC. This is very, very important because subsidy has not gone as at now. Maybe it's gone this year, But these are the latest reports we have. So we have to go with this report that the subsidy is still 7.1 trillion, right? And because it hasn't gone, it still shows up as an expense that is payable by the federal government. If there was really no subsidy, right? If there was really like there's no subsidy in Nigeria, blah, 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 and all that, then this cost, Nigerians would then pay the 100 naira. And if Nigerians pay that 100 naira, there will be no liability due that the federation has to pay. Does that make sense? So when people say there's no subsidy, there's a subsidy. And that subsidy is being paid for by the federation. But it's not even being paid for, it is just a loan. Or when I mean a loan, it's an obligation that the federation is still owing NNPC. So let's now go to this part of our topic and then ask this question, right? So if we know all this and then we go to our next slide, we then want to ask this profit. Remember I told you guys NNPC made about 5.4 trillion profit. How is this real profit? Because look at what's going on. The NNPC sells oil at that's fictitious 100, right? Just an example, 100. But it's only booking profits at 80. Then the 20 is a loan owned by the federation. So when NNPC is making a profit, it is saying part of this profit, there is no cash because the subsidy part is owed to NNPC by the federal, state, and local government. But have those guys paid? No, they haven't paid. So when you see a profit of 5.4 trillion, it's an accounting profit. It's not real money. It's accounting profit, which means that the NNPC is saying if we had sold our oil without you guys telling us to sell at a subsidy, we would have brought in 5.4 trillion. But because you guys, when I mean you guys, the federation asks us to sell at that 80, you have to pay us that extra. You have to give it to us. And that's that 7.1 trillion that you are seeing. So look at it this way. NNPC's profit is 5.4, but the subsidy is 7.1 trillion. So is there really a profit? Because a significant part of the reported profit is linked to under recovery claims. The federation still owes NNPC, meaning the profits are not fully backed by cash until the federation pays. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying, because it's not that hard to follow. Let me break it down in a shop. Let's go to a shop. Let's say your wife owns a shop and your wife sells, let's say your wife, let's be nice. Let's say your wife sells Gary. Very simple. Your wife sells Gary. And then you go to that shop. Or your wife has a restaurant. Let's make it easy. Your wife has a restaurant. And you go to that restaurant and then you eat. When you eat, your wife tells you your plate of rice costs 100 naira. What would your wife book? Your wife would say, I have sold rice worth 100 naira, right? Your wife would say on her sales, she sold rice worth 100. So when the bankers come to your wife and ask your wife, what is your sales figure? What will she say? Your wife will say, I have sold rice worth 100. Who did she sell the rice to? She sold the rice to her husband. Did her husband pay her? No. Husband said, oh, I give you, I owe you. We're both in the same house. When they pay my salary, I'll pay you. So your wife has sold rice worth 100. She had not received cash. The rice she sold is the same rice she and her husband are eating at home. See what I'm saying? So she and her husband are eating that rice that she has sold. But she has posted sales of 100 naira. She has also posted liability of 100 naira because the husband is owing her the money for the rice. But she has eaten the rice with her husband. But she also has posted sales of 100. That's what's going on. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. That the profit that you are seeing that is being posted by the NNPC, the accounting profit is the 5.4 trillion. But the subsidy, or what we call the under recovery and the energy related expense is 7.1 trillion. So you can see that the subsidy is more than the profit. Who is paying the subsidy? The same federal government or the same federation that owns the NNPC. So you see there's a problem. That's why we ask at the tweets when we started off, how pure are these profits? Because just like the lady that is posting that she sold 100 naira worth of rice, if it is your family that is eating that rice, but your family is not paying you, is it sales? Yes. Is it profit? Yes. But is it cash? No. This is why you see the federal government and even NNPC still borrowing a lot. Remember we shared you the chart. Go back to our chart. When we started off, we said, wow, the NNPC is making trillions in profit. Trillions. And then we asked ourselves a question. If they are making trillions in profit, why do they have an increase in finance cost of nearly 300%? 1.7 trillion is gone up by 300%. Why? Because there's no cash coming in. They are making sales, but there's no cash coming in. Who is holding their cash? The Federation. Who owns NNPC? The Federation. Again, the woman is selling rice to her family. Who is eating the rice? Her family. Who is owing her? Her family. Will she kick her family out of her house? She can't. And that, boys and girls, is the problem with the NNPC and with Nigeria. It's the exact same thing with the budget of Nigeria. You look at the budget of Nigeria, we are making trillions in revenues. But you look at the borrowing, we are borrowing trillions in new debt. So you hear trillions, but we can't pay for anything. That's what's going on. And if the NNPC is the number one contributor to foreign capital, so foreign currency in Nigeria, but we are selling crude oil in dollars, we are paying subsidy, and the owner of the subsidy, which is the federation, is not paying back. You can see it's just a cycle. It's just a cycle that's going through. NNPC is not really making cash profit. It's making accounting profit. Erika, you have a question? Eureka, the philosopher guy, do you have a question? Oh, he's gone up. All right, let's continue on our little journey, right? Let me take you guys further. So this is the main thing that I saw in the NNPC account that worried me. That we seem to be making a lot of profit, but it's just accounting profit. It's not cash, raw cash. Keep in mind, let me be very, very balanced. Keep in mind, this was 2023, 2024. If you remember, the president has passed a new law that has said that all revenues that the NNPC was paying, they have to stop. They have to collect all revenues, no deductions, collect all revenues, and pay to FARC. It doesn't mean they don't have obligations, but the president wants them to collect all the revenues in and pay to FARC before they can deduct anything. So by the 2025 results, perhaps we will see a change in all this, where we'll then see that, oh, there's revenues coming in, and those revenues are cash back. The point I'm making is this: we are making accounting profits, but not cash profits, which is a big problem. Let's go on, guys. Let's go to, I saw a few expenses that I didn't really like in the NNPC that I want you guys to also look at it. I mean, NNPC is a public company, right? So this is why they publish their results, so that we can look at it, we can critique it, we can tell them where we feel they are doing good and where we feel they are doing bad. We can also call them out. So we have professional fees for the NNPC. That went up nearly 4 times, nearly 300%. NNPC's consulting and professional fees. It went from 184 billion to about 700 billion. Huge jump. Again, let's be fair. NNPC is transitioning from a corporation to a limited liability company. So most of these costs were the costs that they had paid to lawyers, advisors on how to transit. I get it. But for a company not making money, because we just talked about them making accounting profits and then not making cash profits, should we have spent 700 billion in 12 months? I mean, whose advice? Who are these advisors? Are these advisors external? Does NNPC not have this capacity in-house to do? You know, it's one thing to hire advisors, but does NNPC have the capacity to pay or to do this advisory that they were paying third parties for? Again, did this advisory go through, should we say, the process? Did they advertise in newspapers to say, we want an advisor to do this, submit your proposals through the BPE guidelines, things like, was it a competitive bid? That's where I'm going to with that. Was it a competitive bid? If it wasn't, how could they just spend 700 million? Even if it was 1 million, 1 million, 700 million times, this is a lot of money. That if you group it together, you then ask those questions. Hey, should we have done better with how we spend the money? Again, I'm just asking this question. It's a lot of money because it's nearly, if you add a few billions, it's a trillion. And you made a profit of 5.4 trillion. And that 5.4 trillion is not backed up by cash, but you're paying out about 700 billion in cash. So again, that's the question I did see, and I said, listen, they've got to maybe provide some guidance on that. This is going to be my last slide, guys. So if you have a question, you want to add yourself to the space and ask a question, this is the time to do it. This is the last one that I saw, again, that aroused my attention. Entertainment expense. NNPC has an entertainment budget. The budget was 7 billion in 2023. That's a lot of money, first of all. Who are 7 billion for entertainment in NNPC? This was in 2023. In 2024, that budget went up to 30 billion. 30 billion for entertainment. My state, the state I'm from, I think 30 billion would be about 6 or 5 months of their FARC remittances. I'm putting that in perspective for you. 30 billion is a lot of money. Is it billion? Yeah. I mean, 10 is a lot of money. To spend that, this is not on expenses, but on entertainment. I mean, who are they entertaining and what's the entertainment for? You have to ask questions. You know, that's the reason why the accounts are public. The admin expenses jumped to 3.58 trillion from 2 trillion in 2023. Yes, there's inflation, I get it, but your revenues also went up with inflation. So it evens out. So it's a lot of money to spend on entertainment, especially when you're not bringing in cash, right? So it's back to the same question. If an NPC is bringing in cash like Aramco, you can make all these expenses, right? But again, I'm sure somebody might explain that, oh, this is for this, this is for that, this is for this. I get it. But it's a lot of money, guys, to spend 30 billion on entertainment. Again, the numbers don't matter as much as the trend. The trend shows a 4 times increase in this. So it is worrying that that's what's going on. So if I had to summarize the NNPC report, the result for NNPC, it used to go something like this. They made a lot of profits. They've grown their lot of net profits. They've grown their balance sheet, but they've done that on the back of huge increase in debt. Why are they borrowing if they're making trillions in revenues? Because it's not cash revenues. They are selling something in quote to the Federation of Nigeria, and the Federation of Nigeria is not paying them back. So they are incurring a lot of debt, which means they have to then go borrow money to do their own operations, right? That's what's going on. And does that sound familiar? Yes, it sounds familiar. That's exactly what Nigeria is doing. Nigeria is making trillions in revenues, but we're taking those revenues to pay back debt, which means we'll have to go and borrow new loans because the revenues that we're making today, we're going to pay back debt. And we don't have revenues to even do anything. Nigeria is borrowing to repay debts. Forget salaries. I've showed you guys this on the many spaces. We are borrowing to repay borrowed debt. before we even get to salaries, before we even get to roads. So it's a crazy balance sheet that we have, both for the NNPC, both for the Nigerian Federation. So that's my talk. I'm going to take a look at my messages, which I know will be a lot. But if you have any clarifications, if you have any comments you want to make on this, I'm glad to hear them. I've tried not to, these are all NNPC's figures. So Carlo did not invent any numbers here. And I've tried to give the accounting real answer to them. You know, you might not like my analysis, but it's there. I mean, this is all from the balance sheet of NNPC, and it's there for a reason. The NNPC is being transparent so that we can ask questions about their reports and their results, and then we can hopefully get answers. Nigeria, I'm seeing Mr. Jez. Nigeria has a serious spending problem. NNPC that cannot run an efficient refinery, who are they entertaining with billions? Did the Senate and House understand this report at all? I doubt it. I mean, if NNPC and if the Senate, National Assembly, understand the way we've just laid it out, they should call the NNPC in and ask them questions. Hey, why are you spending on entertainment? We just saw Mr. Dangote entertain the executives of Goldman Sachs. That's, of course, the largest investment bank in the whole world. Goldman Sachs wants to come to Nigeria and work with Dangote to raise revenues. Dangote wants to deliver $100 billion revenue to Nigeria. $100 billion. And like I said, it is possible that Dangote, at a point in time, Dangote alone, would be delivering more foreign reserves and profits to Nigeria than all the companies in Nigeria combined. It's possible. Because if you look at the total non-oil companies that we have in Nigeria, the total, so if you take away oil and say, let's look at non-oil we have in Nigeria, the number one earner of foreign capital or foreign currency into Nigeria is guess who? Guess who it is? It's Dangote. What company is the Dangote petrochemical that exports fertilizer? So for oil, Dangote is number one. He's the only functional large-scale refinery in Nigeria. For non-oil, it's Dangote as well. He's exporting aviation fuel. He's exporting fertilizer. He's bringing in money. As a matter of fact, I think I published it. Dangote is bringing in 30% in terms of his export of refined produce. Is 30% of NNPC's export of crude oil. Let me say it again. What Dangote is earning from exporting aviation fuel, kerosene, detergents, and all that is about 30% of what NNPC is earning exporting crude oil. Dangote, again, remember guys, is only successful because of the failure of NNPC. What Dangote is doing today is what NNPC should have been doing in the 1980s, not today, 1980s. NNPC had a monopoly of extraction, refining, pipelines, distribution, marketing, everything. NNPC should have been building pipelines all across West Africa, and getting the African countries to buy crude oil and refined PMS from Nigeria, crude oil and gas from Nigeria. If NNPC had built pipelines, you can print any amount of naira you want. There will be no inflation in Nigeria. You know why? If you print 1 trillion, they will come and buy that 1 trillion because they have to buy your oil and gas from you. That's exactly what the US is doing. The US is printing dollars because you and I have to use dollars to import cars from China. So the dollar has, as the French will call it, an extraordinary advantage. If Nigeria had done this in the 80s when we had cash and didn't know what to do with it, the economy will never crash, because once you pump gas to West Africa, all the countries, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Senegal, have got to pay you naira. You sell your gas in naira. You sell your crude oil in naira. South Africa will have to take rand, give it to the Central Bank of Nigeria, and buy naira from Central Bank of Nigeria to import gas and oil from Nigeria. So Dangote is what NNPC should have been if they had Dangote running them. Imagine if Nigeria had given NNPC to Dangote in the 1970s as a private company. But here we are still talking about the NNPC in 2026. Who is owing NNPC? Federation. They can't bring the money in. So it's a larger, you have to really ask yourself, there is nothing that has been run by the Nigerian federal government since 1960 that has performed net on net and created wealth. Nothing. I challenge you, name any. Nothing. National Shipping Lines, National Railways, NNPC, National Gas Company, Nigerian Football Federation. Nothing. But once those companies become, even First Bank, Union Bank, UBA, AfriBank, Savannah, they're all federal government companies. But once they become private sector companies, they boom. Nigerian Airways, we're still sorting that mess out. We don't have any ships anymore. Where are the ships in Nigerian Shipping Line? Our railways, we don't have railways. We're celebrating railways. We only have a standard rail from Lagos to Ibadan. That's it. That's it. The rail lines we're using in Nigeria were built by the British in the 18th. The standard rail lines are built on that same line. We have no horizontal rail lines in Nigeria that go from the east to the west since 1960. We couldn't do any one, just a meter. We are building a rail line, a standard rail line, that's going to go from Kano to Niger Republic. That line is not connected to the existing rail line that goes from Kano to Lagos. We built a massive station in Kano. Where will the train go to? The train will go from Kano to Niger Republic. That's it. There's an existing rail line that goes from Kano to Ibadan. It's not connected to that line. And we're celebrating it. I don't depress you guys, but this is my findings, right? This is my findings on the NNPC. I don't want to be a pessimist, but we've got to do better, Nigeria. You cannot, as a company, and I'm going to go back to NNPC's numbers. The numbers don't make any sense. You cannot say that you are making trillions. Let's go back to their numbers. You're making 45 trillion in revenues. Profit of 5.4 trillion in PAT. But then in the same breath, you then say, oh wow, by the way, our borrowing costs have gone up by 300%. Doesn't make any sense. Many companies make profits and borrow. I'm not saying that's not a problem. I'm saying if you are making so much in revenues, right, you would say, okay, why not just pay the loans to the revenues? But you can't, because who is owing you is the federation. And NNPC cannot. What will they do? Will they shut down the federation? They can't. They can't take the federation to court. This is why. Let's talk solutions. NNPC has got to be sold. They've got to be sold to the private sector. I would say, if you ask me today, I would say give NNPC to Dangote. Then give Dangote a target. I tell Dangote, every year give us X amount in dollars. End of story. Just say, Dangote, every year we want 10 billion from you. And every year we're going to add 2% to that 10 billion. Do that. So Dangote will take over NNPC, take over their port, take over their... You people are already here. Oh, you're saying, I see your tweet. You're already saying, but Dangote is a monopoly. I see your tweet. Without Dangote in Nigeria today, $1 would have been about 25,000 naira. $1. Like I told you, the highest crude oil exporter in Nigeria importer in Nigeria today is Dangote. Largest exporter of non-crude oil in Nigeria today is Dangote. Largest exporter of non-oil products today is Dangote. Largest capital investor in Nigeria is Dangote. Largest employer, this is Dangote Cements, refineries, all of them, Dangote. One man, one guy. So if one guy has shown that he can do it, give him the NNPC. Give it to him. He wanted to buy it, him and Tetla wanted to buy it when Obasanjo left, and we said no. And we gave it to, Yaradua gave it back to the NNPC and to the unions. And now we're suffering for it. So we've got to be serious in the country, and we have to allow scale take over. Dangote is not just building. There are other refineries. There's a Niger Delta refinery that's in Delta State. That was the first private refinery in Nigeria. The reason why you don't hear about it is because it's not at scale. But it was a working refinery. This does diesel, but you don't hear about it because it's at scale. Dangote is moving at scale. That's why you hear about it. There's another refinery that's going to be built by BUA. It's going to be commissioned very soon. There's a new refinery that's going to be built in Bayelsa. The same design with Dangote, but it's a smaller refinery. You guys are not going to hear about that. Goldman is not going to come from America to visit a refinery in Bayelsa. They have refineries all over the world. The reason why Goldman came to Nigeria is because of the scale of the Dangote refinery. Dangote refinery is what saved Europe during the Iran war. If there was no Dangote refinery, Europe would have gone into recession. Do you know how strategically important Dangote has become and how important Nigeria has now become because of that one investment? So let me break it down for you guys. The next election is going to be very important, this coming election, because the West is now going to be very, very interested in who's going to be the president, because Nigeria is now the anti-Hormuz. Number two, the president that's going to be president, not this 4 years, but the president that's going to be in power after this 4 years is going to be the president that's going to enjoy, because it's going to be a president that's going to have enormous flow of foreign capital coming to Nigeria. He doesn't have to borrow. He doesn't have to worry about euro bonds or borrowing. He's going to be awash with dollars. I just pray Nigerians can elect someone good that can invest that windfall. The windfall is coming. It's not now. The windfall is coming. You're going to have BUA. You're going to have Dangote. This is just for oil. You're going to have the gas going from south to Kano and Kaduna. So you're going to have your textiles mills are going to reopen. You're going to have new jobs created. You already have your tax reform. You have to deport in Lagos. If we then get our act together and build a new railway line, that coastal road is not going to happen, folks. Trust me. You guys are attacking me on Twitter. It's not going to happen. It's going to stop where the swamps start. It's going to stop where the swamps start. If we have some money, maybe in the 4 years after this time, we can start to build it. You can't build a coastal. Do you know what the coastal road is in Nigeria, through Niger Delta? It's bridges. You're going to build a bridge from where the swamp starts to Calabar. It's not road, it's bridge. If you are entering Lagos, guys, remember there's just before you are near Gateway, you are on a bridge. If you entering Lagos, you are on a bridge from Ogun State all the way to Lagos. You know that bridge now? Very, very long bridge. From Ogun State, you go on a bridge. From that bridge all the way to Lagos. Why? That's where the swamp is now. That's where that natural swamp is. It goes through that swamp all the way through Ojota. It goes all the way, get Niger Delta. That's this kind of, you don't build on that land. So any one thing that I'm going to build a road is you can build a road in 2-3 years. I get it, yes, but you can't build bridges. And the guys that they have that contract are not equipped to build bridges in so years. Go, if you guys have the time, take your time, leave Lagos, go and drive on the east to west road and see what they are doing there. Then you appreciate what I'm saying. I'm telling you that because I've gone the east to west road. It's just bridges from Calabar. There's already a Calabar to Lagos road. It's called the east west road. They haven't completed it for 25 years. Why? It's bridges. It's swamp. So let's get serious, guys. All right, folks, we spent nearly an hour. I don't see anyone requesting to speak. I see lots of messages, and I swear to God, I don't know if I can go and read all the messages. I don't know if I can really go and read all the messages. So I'll read one or two, and then we'll call it a day, guys. This is from Temilade. Um, so, in essence, what you are saying is that Nigeria, don't put me in trouble. Nigeria is doing paper profit. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I am saying that you can lie about everything, but you cannot lie about cash. And I'm not saying they are lying. I'm saying the NNPC results are not lying, but there's the difference between profit and cash. We're making profit, we're not making cash. You can't pay your bills with profit. You pay your bills with cash. Nati, how you doing? Nati, is it Nati? Did I say that right? Nati? Let's get Eze Chikwelu. Eze Chikwelu, what's happening?
Hey, Carlo, how are you?
I'm doing very well, sir. What's up?
Good, good, thanks. I just want to hear your opinion on this, right? So, we heard the president last week announce that by next year or so, NNPC will be listed for 100%.
Yeah.
And I laughed about it because I remembered Transcorp. You remember Transcorp, right? And Obasanjo's vision for Transcorp when the IPO was announced at 7 naira, 7 naira and some change.
Yeah.
And we all went into it, and people got burned, right? So when NNPC is listed 100%, does it look like it's going to go the way of Transcorp? Because one thing is not just the list. If the same poor management behind Transcorp is behind NNPC, are we not likely to see the same results? What's your thoughts?
Yeah, so your basis is good, but Transcorp had no assets. So Transcorp was an entity that was created to then buy assets. So when we were buying Transcorp, we were buying the future earnings, not the current earnings. With NNPC, they have a lot of assets. They have a lot of pipelines, refineries that are not working, storage, ships. They have a lot of that gas contract. They own some parts of Dangote. They now own a bit of Seplat. I'm sure they're going to buy more. So when you take NFTs to the market, people are buying those assets and also the future earnings. So that's the one thing that NNPC has going for itself. The issue is going to be the price you are going to sell NNPC at. If you take NFTs to the market with this balance sheet, investors are going to say, what's the real value of NNPC? If you pay all those debts NNPC is owing, what's their real intrinsic value? That's why the president was paying off the debts of NNPC. Remember, this year, the president was saying he has cancelled this debt, cancelled that debt of NNPC. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to cut the debt away from NNPC's balance sheet so they can go to the market. If you go to the market now, people will buy NNPC, but at what price? Because if you load it up with liabilities, you are reducing the earnings effect. Because those earnings are going to pay liabilities before they pay equity. In company law, if anything happens to the company, debt holders get paid first before equity holders. So if anything happens to NNPC, the folks that all hold NNPC bonds will get paid first before those that own NNPC shares. So because of that, nobody will buy NNPC because you are going to say, wow, if I give them 1 naira, they will first of all pay banks before they pay me. So I'd rather be a bank and give NNPC a loan. You see the point I'm making? So that's the difference, and that's the challenge for NNPC. NNPC has to be sold. Whether we're going to make a loss, sell it at a loss and then reap the future benefits. That's my take. If you give it to Dangote today, what does he inherits the assets plus the liabilities. He has the liabilities. Remember, he will get all those. He would buy 38 trillion, but he will also buy 123 trillion in liabilities. That's what Dangote is going to inherit if you give it to him. He will get 123 trillion. What will he do? He will add it to Dangote refinery and then to become one entity, and then we'll take it from there. That's my take, is it? Do you have a issue with that?
No. I think the anchor was when you said on Transcorp we bought the future earnings, and on NNPC. NNPC is already making a revenue in quotes.
In quotes.
So then just opposing that with the debt. But like I always worry, do you see the issue of what's it called, corporate governance in NNPC, right? Because it's the same people. It's the same people. What's going to be the difference? You just sold the debt to us, to the public, right? That's the difference. The public, we are now the one holding the bag. Like I always say, we are the one holding the risk.
I hear you. The difference is that
the issue of corporate governance and we are inheriting debt. What's the difference between that and Transcorp?
Yeah, the difference is the difference is this, right? The problem today is corporate governance, that they have a customer that is owing them and they can't do anything about it. That's corporate governance, right? That the largest customer, their largest debtor, they can't do anything about it. If you sell them to a private company, then the federal government is going to be in trouble, but NNPC will become better because now they will not do subsidy. Let me also clarify it. Listen. If you sell NNPC, there is no subsidy. There's no hidden subsidy anymore. Your fuel price will go up immediately. It might come down later on, but it's going to go up because there's no hidden subsidy. What Tinubu has done is to hide the subsidy in NNPC. So like I showed you the slides, there was 4 trillion, now there's 7 trillion as of 2024. So, but if you do that over time, scale and productivity will pay off the subsidy. But when you have a private company, you can sue that private company and say, hey, you are doing this, I want to sue you, and go to court, and you can win. The same way you can sue a bank in Nigeria. You can't sue NNPC now. You can, but who cares? It's government money. You've been in court for 25 years. Minister will come, minister will go. It's you that is wasting your time.
Exactly. Then another question is, are they going to allow investors to change NNPC board? That's another $1 billion.
But that just stems to how much they put up for ownership. If they sell 51%, then they're already allowing you to change their board. That's basically, if they sell 51%, people, let me give it to it. Markets would like 51% of a loss-making company than 40% of a profit-making Nigerian company. Because at 51%, the new board can go in and change things. They can go in and sack workers. They can go in and do productivity. All those union guys that are just living off NNPC can get rid of them. But if you do 40% of a Nigerian company, you have no power. Why is LNG working? Nigerian Liquefied Natural Gas. Why is it working? They own 49%. All the foreigners own 49%. So as a block, they own 51% if you combine them. So because they own it, they can keep away the federal government at arm's length. They don't have that issue of federal government telling them spend for this. Have you ever heard NNPC doing sponsoring? But they don't do all that stuff that NNPC is doing because they are owned by private individuals. Nigerian government owns 49%. So you have to give NNPC a way to private ownership simply because you want to bring in corporate governance. If you bring in corporate governance, even this team, like I said from the beginning, it's not easy to make for the profits they've made. They've made profits, but they are still tied to the federation. They can't collect their debt. They can't call EFCC and say, EFCC, Ministry of Finance is owing us. Go and call the Ministry of Finance. It's not possible. But if they were a private company, they can collect their debt going forward. So, good call, Izzy. Yeah, thanks for the comments.
Yeah, Carl, final question. Do you think foreign institutional investors, because I know local institutional investors will not want to get in there, right? Because NNPC is closely tied to the Nigerian government. If local institutional investors get there, they won't have influence. It's still the same federal government, it's the same attitude, the same culture. They will muscle them with political muscle. So, foreign institutional investors, do you think, in your thoughts, do you think they would want to touch NNPC?
The answer is yes and yes. Both local and foreign will buy NNPC. Remember what I said. If you give NNPC with 51% control, everybody will buy it. NNPC is a larger, more diverse, and a better bet than Dangote Refinery. NNPC has legacy assets, pipelines, refineries. So those refineries in Kaduna are not working. but they have the location already in Kaduna. So imagine if I'm a new guy, I can go in now. I want to build a new refinery. I already have the license to do it in Kaduna and Port Harcourt. I already have gas pipelines. I have the Ajaokuta gas pipeline going from Kogi all the way to the north, tapping into south-south. No other company has that. I have ports, I have ships, I own Dangote refinery, I own Seplat. No other Nigerian company comes near NNPC. The reason why I see NNPC because NNPC, why Dangote is shining, because NNPC is not shining. So if I'm telling you, if I was offered to buy 100 shares of a 51% Dangote or 100 shares of 51% NNPC, I'll choose NNPC. You can't compare both of them. The legacy assets alone in NNPC are just too much. They have PPMC, that's another NNPC, that just they pump petrol. They have depots all across Nigeria. Who else has that? They have crude oil pipelines from south all the way to Kaduna. Crude oil. Who else has that? They have refined, they own the wells, the physical wells where you have the oil in Nigeria. JV, they own it with Shell and all that. Who else has that? So that is if they come to the market, oh my God, rush that one and even the Dangote refinery. So yeah, it's a massive company. It's just not being well run. In the past, it's been damaged, so don't play with NNPC. If NNPC lists, no other African stock exchange can near Nigeria. That's what they are trying to do. They're trying to clean up their books, clean up their structure so they can launch at a good price. Yeah. It's like Nitel. Is it? You know Nitel now. If you can,
Yes.
Could you compare Nitel and MTN? You can't.
Oh no, because Nitel already have infrastructure on ground.
Correct.
Yeah.
MTN was just a baby coming in doing port your with Baba whatever. But Nitel is in Nsukka, is in Akwanga, is in all the villages. It's not working, but they are there. All right, let's get Yusuf in. Yusuf, hey, what's up, Yusuf?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you very well, sir.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So I just have some kind of questions with regards to the discussion you had earlier because I joined the session late earlier.
Yep.
So and then I was able to listen to some of the stuff he said. So I just have this question with just something that I've been just thinking of. One of the major issues, I'm not some kind of a financial person, but I just have this kind of a layman notions to just look at the things. So my question is basically which has to do with the kind of the energy, for example, with the kind of problem we're actually experiencing in Nigeria with a lot of faults, having this kind of issue with the amount of money they have to put on in the energy, for example. So let me just cite an example, right? For example, I have a 200 million. For example, I just want to invest or to establish a business, for example. But you try to find out that by the end of the day, for the cost of the energy that I probably have to run that business, might probably equal to almost around 50 million, which seems to be a very high. And then I can recall few years ago, I think last year, Dangote make some kind of a complaint with regards to the amount of money that they have to use for the infrastructure, which has to do with the energy cost for all the companies that is running. So I'm just saying that because this is my own take or what I'm just thinking, and then what is your own take with regards to this? When it comes to the government investing around $60 billion US, in the coastal highway, compared to investing those kind of money, in the energy, because those are the kind of things that investors have to look into when they just want to come to the country because of, energy is one of the major things that has to do with all these things. So I just want to hear your own take with regards to that.
Regards to what?
More or less some kind of if government can probably have to do more in terms of the energy,
Yeah.
Compared to infrastructure the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, that they spend a huge amount of money, we still have problem with the main thing that can be able to even, bring in investors to just establish companies.
I mean,
have to run on that.
I hear you completely. So roads is infrastructure, power is infrastructure, Everything is infrastructure, right? Airport is infrastructure. But in economics, there's something called scale of preference, right? And you look at, if you go back, look at America. There's this series they do in America on Discovery, which you should try to watch. It's called How They Built America, right? So you see that all these American cities were like how we had these unplanned cities. If you go around Nigeria, many unplanned cities. You see lots of unplanned cities. And then Americans want to develop. And every time there's development, it wasn't the government that did it. Let me show you how they... Where I'm going to is this. America only started to grow in leaps and bounds when they had the Industrial Revolution that introduced power. Power is productivity. It is power that allowed them to do everything. Steam engines, manufacturing, shipbuilding, all that came with power. There's a popular quote online where you see there is no highly developed, low energy nation on earth. None. None. You cannot develop until you have power. You can have the best banks, you can have the best roads, you can have the best everything. But if you don't have power supply, you can't develop. So if you know all this, and you are put in charge as the president or the prime minister of a place like Nigeria, what is the number one thing you would do? Would you appoint yourself Minister of Petroleum, or would you appoint yourself Minister of Power? The answer is you appoint yourself Minister of Power, because you know that nothing you can do, nothing, Ajaokuta, Coastal Road, AI, name anything in Nigeria you can do without power. You cannot. So once you fix power, everything will fall in place. Everything will fall in place. Buhari made himself Minister of Petroleum. Tinubu made himself Minister of Petroleum. That tells you where their mind is. Oil, oil, money, money. Nobody wants to go and work. There was a time when the last guy to work on power was Goodluck. Goodluck scrapped NEPA. Then before Goodluck, we were importing things for NEPA, for power. Nigerian customs were seizing NEPA imports because they say NEPA has not paid customs duty. It's like a father will seize his son's car because the son has not paid the father parking fee in their house. Yeah, it's nonsense. You want to grow the economy. The customs works for you. NEPA works for you. Then customs will seize, that was under Fashola, will seize your NEPA container and not release it because you haven't paid duty. It just shows that no one is managing the economy. If you don't fix power, everything you are doing, even growing food, cannot work. Nothing you can do can work without power. So you should just say, for the next 4 years, all we're going to do is power. We're not going to build any road. We're just going to fix power. If you fix power, everything falls into place. If you don't fix power, you're wasting your time. If today, the coastal road is completed today, we have airports in all local governments in Nigeria, and we don't have power, the economy will not materially change. So the key catalyst to grow the economy is power. And it is like you're asking Yusuf, it's surprising no one is talking about power. Even Dangote, what's the first thing he built in the refinery? Didn't you hear him say that you had to build power in the refinery to power the refinery? So Dangote had to build his own power, whatever in the refinery to power. I just heard Ajaokuta is finally getting a gas field to power the power in Ajaokuta. Someone has finally realized that you can't do anything in Ajaokuta without power. So it's mind-boggling, Nigeria. It's mind-boggling. The last time we invested in power at scale, Nigeria was under Obasanjo, NIPP. Till what else have we done? But if you go on the air now, you see Nigeria wants to do AI language in African nations. Then you see Nigeria is celebrating airports. Nigeria wants to buy. We're wasting our time. It's like somebody is dying of. Then you are saying, "Oh, I wonder what color of shoes we should buy him. Oh, I wonder if he likes AC or if he likes fan." But the guy is dying. Yusuf, I told the story last time. I don't know if you are here. I told the story when I was in Lagos. I went to Awolowo Road, and this is a good example for you just to take this home. I went to Awolo Road to cut my hair. So when I got to Awolo Road, this nice barber salon, it was open, but people were sitting outside. Oh, what's going on? Oh, to cut hair, I forget that. Maybe it was like 500, I don't know, 500 to cut a hair. But you had to pay, I think it was 5K to put generator on. So look at what they've done. They left their cost of barber. The cost of the haircut was fixed. They left it alone. But to cut your hair, you have to pay generator levy. So of course, people came there and no one wanted to pay, so they all sat down there. But I had to cut my hair that day, so I paid them to put generator on. As soon as I paid, oh, the whole place became active. All the barbers came. People started rushing to cut because they knew they're going to take just how long to cut my hair. So if you don't cut your hair while I'm cutting my hair, you won't get it done. Immediately there was economic activity. There were jobs created. There was commerce created. There was transfer happening because one person came and paid for power in that barbing salon. Use that barbing salon as Nigeria. There are so many companies that are dead in Nigeria because of power. If you fix, and when I mean fixed power, I don't mean 124 hours power. If you tell Nigeria, I'm going to give you guaranteed power, guaranteed for 10 hours, just guaranteed alone, Nigeria GDP will double. The GDP will double. Just 10 hours a day, guaranteed, GDP will double. So if you know this, if you know this, why are you not spending all your time to fix power? Why are you spending your time doing, go and fry kulikuli or go and do AI? Why do you have all these people? You just need Minister of Power, Minister of National Security, Abi, call it a day. That's it. It's like you want to cook soup. You want to make ogbono soup. You go and buy pepper. You go and buy salt. You buy firewood. You buy pot. You don't buy ogbono. But you want to make ogbono soup. Doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense what Nigerians are doing. You have to fix power first. Then all things shall be added unto you. What shall it profit a nation to have coastal road without power? They're going to kill me, guys, quite what I said, but it's true now. If you have a road and you don't have any job to go to, why will you use the road? Okay. Yusuf, I hope you're good.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Long answer, but sorry, man. ID, what's happening?
Hi, Kalu.
Hey.
It's been a minute. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I came up because you were talking about power, and you mentioned something that sort of aligns with my thoughts concerning power. It's not a solution, but I thought maybe this area could actually help out in a way. Although there might be some complexities around it. So, but basically, I heard you mention something about Dangote having to fix power first before building the refinery. Yeah, that is common knowledge. But then, I don't know if that approach would be feasible for the average Nigerian or a collective group of average Nigerians who want to go into large-scale manufacturing or large-scale production. I know it's a big project and there's a lot of complexities as regards to trying to solve a massive power gap because you want to go into manufacturing and all of that. But if this is done as a collective group for private individuals, because I know the government is not even having the conversations about power, so I don't think they would take any recommendations that we have from this space. But I want us to come back to private individuals because, that is how it has always been. Private individuals are the ones who provide the solutions for even the most critical things in this country. But then do you reckon that there might be any sort of feasibility if a collective group of people should come together and massively invest in manufacturing, but then they sort out power in that vicinity to help foster their production operations? Do you reckon something like that is feasible?
No, it's not. It's a waste of resources. It's not at scale. It's a misalignment of resources. Have you seen any nation where individuals build power plants, any nation. That's a manufacturing nation. Oh, there's a reason why. Power is scale. Power is just that your small, I better pass my generator. It's not different from a massive nuclear power plant. There's no difference. Both produce power, but at what cost? I better pass my neighbor is producing what? Nuclear plant is producing what? A dam is producing what? So power has got to be at scale. You cannot industrialize a nation with generators. If you go to America, they have generators as backup for individual buildings, right? There's no generator that backs up America. Nigerians, right? If we put all our generators together, we can power the entire world. The kVA of generators we have in Nigeria can power America. But that's not how you build power. Power has got to be at scale, at grid level, so that you can tap in and that power is predictable, scalable, and you can go off and on. Now you can then go and build like Elon Musk is saying, oh, if you want to go and build in a desert, you can have your array, you are off grid, that's fine. But if you want to set up a company, a hairdresser, why should you be buying generator as a hairdresser? Why should you be buying generator as a farmer? It doesn't make any sense. Okay, they are saying solar. All this solar. Solar is a sign, hear me, it's a sign of an economy that is it's not run as its full output. You are copying Americans. Americans, where do they use solar? They are doing feed-in tariffs, meaning they have a grid. Then they use the solar to feed power back to their grid and make money. But we're just saying, put solar panel on your roof. Okay, where's the power going to go to? To your house. That's a waste. Everybody in Nigeria has solar. The same thing we're doing with generator. Every Nigerian home has 2 generators. One they bought that's spoiled, the one they are using. Some have 3 that are spoiled. Like I said, if you combine the whole power in Nigeria, it can power America. But it's a waste. Every office, every bank has at least 24 kVA generator diesel. Every bank, and they use it for 2 years, 3 years, they get a new one. Where are those old generators going to? So they are all in Nigeria. You can't develop a country with solar power on your roof. Then if every house will go to your inverter. How? You need a grid. Texas is doing a lot with solar and wind, but it goes to the grid. From the grid, you tap that grid. If you have a solar panel, put it on your roof, it can go back to your power grid. You can do feed-in tariffs. The excess power you don't make, you sell back to the grid. Texas can take that. It's a grid. They can take excess power and sell. But this idea of there's no difference with solar and generator. No difference.
Yeah.
It can't work.
No, absolutely. I get that. So, but I want to try to understand how this is a match, because I know there was a time. I don't know if that was just before Buhari left, but
Yeah.
I know there was a time that an electricity bill was passed, and it sort of decentralized the authorities for electricity. I don't know if it's distribution or generation now.
Basically everything,
but, I think
basically you can generate your own power and you can distribute. I think the grid is still owned by the government, but I think
Yeah, but talking about that decentralization, I think it was reduced even down to the state level, such that the state levels can actually generate their own electricity, right?
Yep.
So I know when we talk about petroleum, when we talk about the NNPC, when we talk about oil, when we talk about electricity, the attention often goes to the federal government, and oftentimes we as Nigerians, we forget that the state government has like a certain responsibility too. So now when we talk about generating power at scale, I think the government are the best people in position to do that. But now where the federal government is lacking in that area, can the state actually I don't know, just for knowledge sake, can the state actually look in that direction to say, we want our state to be a manufacturing state? I'm saying hypothetically. So I want my state to be a manufacturing state. I want to open up the economy of my state. I want to bring in constant power into my state. So can the state go ahead to generate it, like to provide its own grid?
So bro, I hear your question. It's a valid question. Yeah. The point I'm making is this, right? Power with everything else needs scale. States in Nigeria, when Nigeria that you see today was two protectorates, right? There was a northern and southern protectorate. Then there was the western, eastern, and northern protectorate. Then we had states. Then we had regions. Then now we've gone from 19 states to 36 states. Many states today are local government areas. Many states today. So if you come and say states can produce their own power, it's like saying one estate in Lagos should produce their own power. That's what you're saying. One estate, maybe it's something estate that is, maybe they have 50 homes, produce your own power. It doesn't make any sense. There's no scale there. What you need to do is to say, even at the minimum regional level, the southwest region should have their own grid. The northwest have your own grid. And then you try to produce power, and then you trade power. You say, okay, the south has a ton of gas. They're going to produce excess cheap power from gas. They can sell that grid, that power to the other grids. North has excess solar energy, but in the night, there's no solar energy. So North can tap power from the south grid at night. The point I'm making is if you don't do it at scale, it's going to be expensive. It's like buying a generator or plugging your power to the grid. It's always cheaper on the grid. We are trying to copy folk that, because America does solar, we should do solar. They sell solar in Costco. Put it on their caravans. Put it on their tents. Put it on their homes. But that's not America's number one source of power. They have grid power. But they say, oh, solar is cheaper. If you put solar, it's feeding. So the point I'm making is that to get serious with power, you build scale. All these solar are addendums to the scale you have built. So in many states, in many universities, they can go, we're going to go off-grid and have a captive solar plant. Nothing wrong with that. But you still need a central grid that is producing cheaper power. That grid can be regional. It can be the whole of South Nigeria will say, we're going to have a South Nigeria grid. Okay, look at it this way. I read somewhere, Yobe State, do you know how they get power? They're getting power from Kainji and South. The power will travel from maybe Imo State on the wire from Imo all the way to Yobe, or from Kainji all the way to Yobe. Why can't Yobe have a 500 kVA solar plant? They have the sun, they have flat land. Why can't they put the solar thingy right there and then say, okay, this is going to be our whatever generation here. If we fall lower, we'll buy from the south grid. That's what America does. Texas is on its own. If you go to America, they have about 4 grids. But Texas, ECOT is on its own completely. But that's the large market. Texas is large on its own. So they are saying on our own, we're going to produce and sell our own power. What is the issue? When they had the coal, whatever last time, Texas were out of power. So you just can't say, I'm not going to connect. But it does come back to your question. It is not economical to try to manufacture power on your own. And any government telling its people to go and buy solar or go and buy generator is a failed government. That's not how you do it. It's not done anywhere on earth. You can never find any European government telling your people, go and buy generator. It's like saying, go and build your own school. Why? Nigerians were used to not holding the government to account, but solving our problem by ourselves. When I went to school in Nigeria, FGC was the elite institution of learning. FGC. If you go to an FGC college, you are going to the elite, best funded schools in Nigeria. Today, FGC doesn't mean anything. The best schools are privately owned. Why couldn't we hold the government to account to keep FGCs the way they were? We don't care. Private schools came, we ran private schools. Look at Ikoyi. When I grew up, Ikoyi had 2 road lanes. Exclusive, well-maintained, green, quiet. So you go to Ikoyi, there are skyscrapers everywhere in Ikoyi. No GRA in Nigeria anymore. Every GRA you see event center, all that kind of nonsense. We don't keep roads bad, so we buy SUV. Power bad, we buy generator. Security bad, we private health, whatever, and barbed wire. Why can't you just go back to what did the British leave us with? If you are driving to Lagos on the left, what do you see? Thermal power in Egbe. It's not, you don't see there. It's no longer in use. Why can't we just go back to what has worked? Why are we trying to reinvent the wheel? These things are working. Just expand it. Oji River, British people built it. We didn't touch it. There's no water again in Oji River, so it can't produce power. How many dams have we built in Nigeria since the British left? Tafa Balewa built Kainji. The rest how many dams have we built? We struggled. Built one dam in what's that one called? Kashimbula or whatever. The other one, they've chopped the money. ID, these things are not hard. They are making it hard.
Yeah.
They are making it hard.
Absolutely.
Abia State got, let me use the word luck, because luck is labor under controlled knowledge. Abia State got lucky with Professor Bat Naji. He went and built geometric. But when he built geometric, it didn't work for many years. He ran out of money. Would a government that is looking for power not go and subsidize geometric and make him work? No, they left him. He was taking loans from banks. The place closed down. He had to be saved by funding from the African Investment Bank and all that kind of stuff. But a serious government that said, oh, we have a private guy here building a power plant, we will give him the loan. Dangote, we are celebrating today. Let me be controversial. Dangote, you are all celebrating today. Do you know who saved Dangote? Emefiele. Emefiele is in court. I don't like him, but Emefiele is go and Google it. Google it.
Yeah, of course.
Emefiele when the refinery had stalled, he went and promised Dangote he would give him forex when it was scarce. Go and Google it, and that's how Dangote was able to build the refinery to the stage that he could then take loans. Because you don't build a refinery and go and take. He had to build it up first. Emefiele saved him because the government said critical infrastructure we are going to invest in. So geometric was critical. They left it alone. It nearly died. Now geometric has come back to life. It has now supplied power. And again, Aba was ring-fenced from Enugu distribution company. So now in Aba, they are enjoying expensive but constant power. If you notice, lots of companies are going to Aba. Why? Because there's power supply. If you start manufacturing Aba, at least you know you get power. At least you get power. Even if it's expensive, you will get the power. So again, the point I'm making, you see Mr. Cardoso every day saying we're going to do traditional central banking. We should be funding power sector companies in Nigeria with 0% loans to grow capacity. What's the point of low inflation with low power? How does that make any sense? You have low inflation, you don't have power supply. Who are you doing low inflation for? We should be investing in infrastructure, power, railway, roads. Pension one is buying bonds. For what? Okay. That's how you grow the economy. Again, go to that movie. Go to the How They Built America series. Go and watch it. How did America wanted to build a railway from the east of America to the west of America. Do you know how big America is? America is 5 time zones. Nigeria is just 1 time zone. 5 time zones. To fly from San Francisco to New York is like flying from Lagos to London. Same country. They wanted to build a railway from New York all the way to California. How did they do it? The government has no money. American federal government didn't have the money to build it. So how did they do it? They said, okay, private sector guys, any railway, any line you build on both sides of the road, it's yours. So if you build a railway on both sides, we'll give you C of O. So what were they doing? The railway companies will build a road, they claim both sides, it's theirs, free of charge. Then what they do, the railway companies went to development companies, these developers, and said, hey, we have free land for you up north. Oh yeah, come and build land up north, and we will carry the cement for you free of charge. So imagine if that happened in Nigeria. So look at Nigeria. If you go to Kwara, you know how where Kwara is? Kwara is at the very, very tip of Kwara, near the border. If you build a railway from Kwara, you just avoid Abuja, you go all the way to Adamawa, That's a railway from the east to the west of Nigeria. There is no one there. There is no one living there. Nigerians live at the coast and the capitals. There is no one living in that place. Okay, you now do the same deal with Nigeria. You say, okay, if you build a railway line, we'll give you C of O, 100 kilometers west, both sides. Then what will happen? Those guys will go and tell Dangote will carry your cement for free to developers. So in America, they carry the wood and the materials free of charge to those open areas. Then those developers then built houses. So Americans that could not afford homes in New York got on a train and rode the train to the middle of nowhere in Kansas. And there was a house at a fraction of the cost in New York. That's how they built their railway, not government money. Private sector initiatives, private sector incentives, private capital, not government. That's why Nigerian Railway Service will not work, because it's government. They don't care. If they work or don't work, they get their pension. So you've got to be we have to think out of the box in Nigeria. We can't be every year we've allocated money for Ministry of Power. Then we'll wait for Ministry of Power to go and do road. It's not going to work, guys. It's not going to work. Fayose is already saying that that people don't have power, so they are sleeping with their wives. That's your chairman of rural electrification. That's what he's thinking about. It's not going to work. Go back to our post today, NNPC. We're not making money from NNPC. I don't know of any other oil company on earth that doesn't make money apart from NNPC. When I mean money, I mean real cash, not accounting profit. I think only NNPC. That tells you a lot about Nigeria. Tells you a lot. Eddie, I hope I've answered you in many ways. Right. I've answered you in many ways. I hope you're good. Eddie, you're good?
Yes, that's very insightful. Yeah,
very okay, fantastic, guys. I think we're gonna have to go. I don't like to read the tweets, but let me try. Kalu, please explain accounting profit and paper profit. Like I said, I gave the example very easy, very easy for you to follow. A woman sold rice. A woman has a booker. That booker is NNPC. That woman is selling rice to her family. Her family comes and eats in her booker. Will that woman post sales? Yes. She will post sales. That sales she's posting is what NNPC is posting as accounting profit. So she has bought rice for 100 naira. She sold the rice for 20 naira. She has made a profit of 100 naira. Same with NNPC. They posted an accounting profit of 100 naira. The problem is this. Will she sack her kids and her husband? Will she call police to arrest her kids and her husband because they ate rice and didn't pay her? She can't. Same with NNPC, who is owing them. NNPC is paying subsidy on behalf of the government. So the government is not paying NNPC cash for the subsidy. Can NNPC arrest the government? No. So the accounting profit is not translating to paper, cash profits. So NNPC's profits 5.4 trillion, subsidy 7 trillion. If you minus the subsidy payments from the profit, what will remain? See the point I'm making? Accounting profit is what that woman is selling, but who is owing her? Her own family. Can she arrest her family? No. So it's accounting profit, but it is not cash profit. They are both legal. They are both correct. There's no fraud. There's no fraud here. It's just that this cash profit. That's why NNPC has got to go borrow a lot, because they don't have the cash. They are posting profit, but not cash. Deji, what's up?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Doing very well, sir.
I'm not sure if you've addressed this, but I just something came to my. I guess I sort of got prompted when you mentioned that NNPC hasn't been making profit, but just
No.
7 days.
They made profit. I said they made profit, sir. I didn't say they haven't made. I said they made a lot of profit. Okay. Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. So I was just gonna, because I saw an article about 7 days ago saying that they've disbursed, or should I say remitted, about 6 trillion naira to the federal government since this like the half year disbursement. So I was wondering, is that like a small figure, or is that encouraging? I'm not sure if you addressed it already.
I don't know what year are they remitting for. Is it for 20? I don't know what year you're referring to, but
okay, sorry.
Go ahead. What year are they referring to? 6 trillion. What years?
Like this January to June this year, 2026.
Okay, so NNPC has made a lot of profit. Their revenues for 2024 was 45 trillion. Why 20? That's the latest we have. The latest we have. Their revenue was 45 trillion. That's an 88% increase. Massive number. 88% increase. 45 trillion. Their profit after tax was 5.4 trillion. That's a 64% increase year on year. Massive number. So they are making profit. I'm not debating that. What I'm explaining is this, right? Same NNPC, right, is also incurring a 7.1 trillion naira obligation to the Federation, i.e. the Federation is owing NNPC 7.1 trillion. Also, same NNPC has an 8 trillion obligation, most have been settled, of the NNPC crude-backed financing. So if you take away this 8 trillion, take away the 7 trillion that are paying for subsidy, and you marry it to the 5 trillion that they earned in net profit, what's left? What's left? So the NNPC can remit for anything. NNPC, remember, is going to collect monies for JV. That's not going to be part of this. So if you do royalties and all that kind of stuff, NNPC could collect it. It doesn't come to NNPC's balance sheet per se. And NNPC will remit it onwards to the federal account. You get what I mean? If they sell blocks of oil, signature blocks, it's not going to pass through here. NNPC will just collect it and just pass it on to the federation account. So that might be what's happening. But the figures we are talking about is showing that they are making a ton of profit, but they are incurring a ton of liabilities, a ton of it. Like I said, their liabilities has gone up, their finance cost has gone up 300% in a year. 300. So how are they remitting to the government when their borrowing has gone up 300%, DG? See the point I'm making?
Yeah. Very interesting. I also saw there was also was it the Frontier Basin Fund that the federal government asked the NNPC not to keep anymore. Good. So apparently according to the PIA, they were supposed to take this money out from the the profit oil from the production sharing contract. Yeah. But the federal government says, you know what, you have to send that to us now.
Correct. And I mentioned that as well. I said that we're talking about 2024, 2025 numbers, that going forward, we haven't seen the impact yet on the account because it haven't been published. But it will be positive because what they've done now is tell the NNPC, collect all the revenues, keep it in NNPC and remit. Don't send 30% to Frontier. So that's going to be a big boost to the NNPC's numbers. And why are they doing it, DJ? Because of these numbers I just quoted for you. They have to use money to pay off these loans that are owing to the NNPC. That's what's going on. NNPC is being used as an ATM machine. So if the government doesn't have money, they tell the NNPC to pay. And NNPC pays, then the government is owing them. So when they increase the amount of capital or if revenues flowing to NNPC, the NNPC can pay more of the expenses of the federation. Remember, federation, not federal government. So it's bait and switch in a way. Because what should happen, we should see the real cost. Why say subsidy has gone, but you keep 7 trillion in the NNPC as subsidy and rename it? There's 7.1 trillion in 2024 books of NNPC. Is quoted under recovery and energy security expenses subsidy. So why say it's gone but still have it in the books of NNPC? This is the point we're trying to that's why I do in the space, DG. Make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate you, sir. All right, thanks so much, guys. All right, it's been a fantastic day. I wish I could read all the tweets, but I have to stop and read them. But yeah, I think we've been well served. We've asked the questions, we've given the evidence. It's published out there. If you go to the Twitter feed, you can grab most of the slides I've shared. YouTube guys, always fantastic. They get to see everything upfront and personal. So thank you guys for hanging in there with me. Again, why do we do these spaces? Because we want to ensure that Nigerians know what is going on in their country. NNPC is not just a parastatal. They are the number one, the most important company in Nigeria. Nigeria is a derivative of Brent crude, the Nigerian naira. So whatever NNPC has on NNPC and Brent crude, we have to be involved. So we want to know what's happening. That's why we're doing this space. To ask questions, maybe tomorrow NNPC will publish something in the papers and say, oh, this is wrong. We analyze it wrongly. Fantastic. But for now, this is what we have. Hey, Ayla, what's up?
Yeah, Mr. Kali, good evening.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm fine, thank you.
What's up?
How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for asking.
All right, sir. Sir, please, this topic you were mentioning, I just want to get clarification. Is it just for the year 2024 or both 2024 and 2025, the current year?
No, they haven't released. They've only released 2024. They've only released 2024. They've only released 2024, sir. That's what I'm talking about. The latest NNPC result that I've released. I can only talk about what has been released. Yes, sir. So they've only released if you just Google NNPC latest audited report, then you see what I'm going off with here.
All right, thank you for bringing this to the forum because I wanted to ask earlier, why I asked this question was to know if maybe it's just 2024 or both last year and this year. Because I want to be sure if maybe the economy is really on a rise, like they are putting it up, they are just passing it, with figures that the result is not, tallying with what we are thinking.
I think that the main change will come if we look at the next. They've released 2024. Let's look at 2025. We'll then look at number one, subsidy. We'll see if we'll still find subsidy, right? Number two, we'll see if we'll still see the cash for crude payments. We'll look at that as well. Those two things would help us determine where NNPC is going to. We might have the new report, and that new report will see that there's less subsidy payment, which will be very, very good for the NNPC, very, very good for the nation. We might also see that they've paid down most of their cash for crude cost, also very, very good for the nation. So yeah, it is just the latest that we have. If the new one comes, clearly we'll bring it and then we'll analyze it as but this latest that we have, yeah. But the overall point I want to make is that we've not done pretty well with NNPC. We've lost the opportunity. Look at Dangote now is going to Kenya to build a mega refinery. This is what NNPC should have been doing in 1980s. Not 90s, though, 1980s. Because they had a monopoly. We still haven't increased oil output in Nigeria. We're still at OPEC level. We've been there since Buhari's days. We haven't gone beyond that 1.5 million barrels a day. And that's why you guys are seeing all this wahala you are seeing. Obasanjo was doing 2.2 million barrels a day. That's why Naira was strong. But if you are doing 1.5, you can't be saying strong Naira with 1.5 million barrels a day of crude oil. And you are every day we're increasing salaries of people. We're increasing military salaries. We're going to increase police salaries. We're increasing lecturer salaries. We're increasing NYSC. All these are good. But where's the money coming from? From oil. So if you want to pay salaries, you want to subsidize power, you want to subsidize PMS, you've got to earn much, much more than we're earning. Let me give you a data point, Ayla. Let me give you guys a data point as we close. If you look at the budget of the year 2020, Nigeria spent more in 2020 than Nigeria spent in 2025. Did you guys hear what I said? If you pick the budget number for 2020, and I'll give you that number in a while. If you factor in inflation, Nigeria spent more in 2020 than in 2025. But has the population of Nigeria gone up? Yes. So it's essentially the federal government of Nigeria is not doing anything. We are announcing trillions, but those trillions we're announcing is the equivalent to the billions we announced in 2025. It's a big problem. It's a very, very big problem. That's why you keep on, every year you hear billions have been announced, but nothing, you don't see any change. That's what's going on. And if we don't fix that, I don't know what we're going to do. The trillions you are hearing, it's nothing. Because if you take away inflation, I'll give you the exact figure. Let me give you the exact figures for those that want to get the exact figures, right? Okay, so in 2020, the budget, the full budget was 597 billion. 597 billion. The equivalent of that is about 17 trillion. That's the revenue. The revenue that Nigeria was going to earn in 2020 was 597 billion. The equivalent of that 597 billion today is 17 trillion. For 2025, 9 months, the equivalent number is 16 trillion. Yes, it's 9 months, this is 12 months, but look at just the gap. 597 billion is the equivalent of 16 trillion today, 2025. So when you hear the budget is 40 trillion, it sounds like a big number, but it's lower than 2020. That's why there are no roads being built. Because every local government, imagine, go to your local government and compare it with 2020. I know where I live in 2020. I know what it is today. That's why there's traffic, there's waste. If you go to Lagos State, and I'm not attacking Lagos State, there's so much waste in Lagos State. It's not because the guys there don't want to pick the waste up, but the population has quadrupled. Whether you say it's because of whatever its reason is, it has quadrupled. How many PSP trucks do they have compared to 2020? Have they quadrupled? How many landfill sites do they have? Have they quadrupled? How many incinerators do they have? Have they quadrupled? That's the problem. Go to, before when I used to live in Lagos, you had to be on Third Mainland Bridge by 6 a.m. Not leave your house. You have to be on the bridge 6 a.m. to get to work by 7. Today, I doubt you can be on the bridge by 6 a.m. and get to work by 7 on Third Mainland Bridge. So population has increased. There are more cars, more people, more babies, more everything. Have we increased hospitals, schools, roads? We haven't. We don't have a light rail in Nigeria, Lagos. Lagos is the most modern city in Nigeria. We don't have a light rail going all across the metropolis. We are trying to, but we don't have one. Lagos was founded when? So that's the problem, Ayla. We have to spend more money. You just can't call, if you do 100 trillion budget and you take it back to 2020 numbers, you see that maybe it's worth like 2 trillion. That's a big problem for Nigeria. So the absolute numbers don't make any sense. But look at expenditure. Just look at expenditure. In 2020, Nigeria spent 701 billion. 701 billion. That's the equivalent of spending 20 trillion today. So in 2020, we are spending 20 trillion. 9 months, 2025, how much have we spent? 24 trillion. So just compare. 2020, we spent on health, education, roads, security, 20 trillion, which was 701 billion. But 2025, for 9 months, we spent only 24 trillion. Again, look at the numbers. Does it make sense? Our population has gone up. Everything has gone up, but we're spending nearly less or lower. Doesn't make any sense, guys. All right. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me today. We'll spend some time here, and I appreciate you guys for being here. Next week, we'll be back here with a new topic about the economy, about finance, and of course, about investing. Hang out with us. We're a good place to be on Sundays for you to hear about Nigeria, to learn those critical points, and then, of course, to have information. Why do we do this? We're giving you information to be a better citizen, to ask better questions, and to hold those in power to account. That's why we do our space. We're a serious space. We give you lots of great information, and we also try to be visual. So do join, tell friends about us. Also follow me on Twitter, Fame Plan College. I'm there. I also got a great book on personal finance. If you want to get it, it's fantastic. It's only on Amazon. Let's talk about your money. We also have a personal finance app. It's Pool, PUL.LLC. You can go in there, guys, plug in all your information, your income, your expenses, asset, liabilities, plus it will ask you about your insurance. It will help you choose the type of insurance you need. It will ask you about your legacy planning. It will ask you about investment. You're not buying or selling anything on the app. It's giving you, quote unquote, gaps in what you are doing. So if you are a 40-year-old guy, you have no will, it will tell you critical. You're a 35-year-old lady, you have no emergency fund, it's going to tell you critical. So PUL.LLC, get in, try it out. It's free for now before we monetize it. So make sure you get a free one. If you're free, we're never going to monetize you. So get in and then use that stuff out. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'll see you guys next week. Do have a fantastic day. Thank you all for asking questions. I'll see you next time. Bye.